Hi, you guys. Welcome back. We are going to be solving equations that is variables on both sides. Now, in Delta Math, they call it three-step linear equations, but I call it variables on both sides because if you see when we write down this first example, I have an x on both sides of my equal sign. So 13x minus 1 equals 9x minus 13. Okay. Now, I'm going to solve this problem two ways, and it's just to demonstrate that you can start the problem differently. There are actually, to be honest, 4 ways to do this problem, okay? I'm going to show you probably what I consider to be the best approach, just from a consistent approach, so that way if you struggle with this, you know, okay, every time I do a problem like this, I'm going to start it the same way, okay? But I will show you I can solve it a separate way and get the same answer, just so you know that you can do it differently. All right, when I have variables on both sides, I like to have, when the problem is all said and done, I want my variables to be on the left, and then I want my numbers. I know that's a hashtag, but that's a number symbol if you didn't know, to be on the right. So no matter what A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever label, whatever variable you have, I want it to be x equals a number. Okay, so since I have a variable here on the right-hand side and the left-hand side, I want this variable 9x to go to the other side. All right, so if I draw my wall, that means regardless of what this is, I don't care. I don't care what this is. I'm going to take this variable and I'm going to move it to this side, which means I need to do the opposite operation. So this is a positive 9x because I take the symbol that's in front. Okay, not this minus sign here. That is going with the 13. That makes 13 negative. So the opposite of plus is minus. So I'm going to minus 9x. I'm going to write it underneath its like term, which is the 13x. Okay, so 13x minus 9x, 4x. This is why combining like terms is so important. Bring down the minus 1, equal sign. 9 minus 9 is 0. Bring down negative 13. Okay, all right, now I'm going to solve for x, so I have to get the x by itself. So that means I have to do the opposite of minus 1. So the opposite is plus 1. So if I do plus 1 on the left-hand side of my wall, I have to go to the other side of the wall, plus 1. That's how I keep it balanced. So negative 1 plus 1, that's 0. So I'm left with 4x equals negative 13 plus 1, negative 12. Okay? To get x by itself, I need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I divide it on both sides. So I get x, because the 4 cancels, equals negative 12 divided by 4, negative 3. Okay? All right, so now here's what I'm talking about. How else could I have solved this problem? So 13x minus 1 equals 9x minus 13. Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you understood that, you like what I did, fast forward through this part, okay? Just completely skip it. But I need to be a good teacher and tell my students that there are other ways to solve the problems, or there are other first steps you could have taken. But if you're looking at it going, I don't need to hear anything else, fast forward through me working through this problem. Okay, sorry, nothing bothering my nose. All right, so 13x minus 1 equals 9x minus 13. So I'm going to draw my wall. Now, I think part of what happens here is why people take a different approach is because they don't even think about the problem. They just start solving. Okay. So let's just say you jump right in and you're like, well, I need to, well, I'm going to add 13. So again, just not even thinking about it. You're like, I need to add 13. So you bring down the 13x. Negative 1 plus 13, well, that's plus 12, equals, bring down the 9x, and now negative 13 plus 13, you've eliminated it. Now, I'm not saying that's a good first step. In my opinion, it's not, but it's okay as long as you keep progressing in the next steps carefully and you do your work. Okay, well, now I'm looking at the problem. I've got 13x plus 12 equals 9x. Well, if I subtract 9x, I'm going to get 0. So I don't need to be on this side. So let's go to this side. Well, I've got an x on the left, I got an x on the right. So, well, let me subtract this 13x because I have an x over here. So subtract 13x. So 13 minus 13, that's 0. Well, that works because that leaves 12 behind. And then 9 minus 13, well, that's negative 4. Okay? Well, I know how to solve that. I need to divide by negative 4, because that will undo multiplication. So 12 divided by negative 4 is negative 3. The negative 4's cancel. I'm left with x. You got the same answer, okay? Different work, okay? But we have the same answer, okay? So it's okay if you say, let's say you start the problem and you're thinking to yourself, you know what? I think I messed up. Keep going. Keep going, because I'm not going to do all 4 versions of this problem, that there are 4 different first steps that you could take, and you would still get to x equals negative 3 if you solve the equation mathematically and you're careful about it. So don't give up, okay? That's really what the moral of this story is don't give up, okay? I did a completely different approach and I got the same final answer, okay? All right, so let's go here, Delta Math. Let's check our work. We've done it twice. We've gotten negative 3, so let's just hope we've done it right. Submit my answer. Yes, got my green check. Okay, now look here. Okay, look here. Even Mr. Delta Math, he's got the 3rd version. Okay, so I've got my first 2 versions. There's the 3rd version. The 3rd version was he added 1. Okay, all right, so new problem. So 3x minus 3 equals x minus 19. Okay, so again, more than one approach. Okay, now from now on, I'm going to solve the problems the same way. I'm not going to talk about the other versions, and I'm always going to do the same first step. Okay, so when I have variables on both sides, so I've got an x here and I got an x here, I start with my variables because I'm just like, no, I can't have them everywhere. They need to all be on the same side so I can work with my numbers. So I'm going to draw my wall, okay? And this x on the right-hand side is got to go, okay? So if you don't remember, there's a 1 in front of it, and it is positive. So the opposite operation would be to subtract 1x, and I'm going to put that 1x right underneath the like terms, okay? I should have done that in a color. I like to do those steps in a different color, okay? All right. So 3 minus 1, because those are x's, are 2x. Bring down the minus 3 equals, that eliminates because 1 minus 1 is 0. Bring down the minus 19. Okay. All right. Now let's talk about that minus 19. That is mistake like all the time. I see it all the time when students solve a problem and they're just like, Miss Barfield, I messed up. Okay, I can usually find it right in this first step, and it's usually because from one line of their work to the next line of their work, they've lost a negative. Part of that is, I'm going to be honest for a moment, some of y'all, your work is messy. Okay, It works for you, I get that. But notice how neat my work is, okay? And that's years and years of investing in writing neatly. I get that. But also, too, I've always solved math this way of very neatly organizing my work. Part of it was my 8th grade. Yeah, I think it was my 8th grade math teacher. She wouldn't accept it if it was not written one line per work, okay? It couldn't go off to the side of the page. It couldn't be scrambled all over. It had to be written a certain way. And if it wasn't, she didn't accept it and you got a 0. And she didn't let you make it up. Okay. All right. So side note there. Let's go back to solving my problem. So I'm going to add 3 because I need to get x by itself. So add 3. Notice I've added 3 on the left side and the right side of my wall. So I bring down 2x. The negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Equals negative 19 plus 3, negative 16. Okay? All right, to get x by itself, the opposite of multiplication is division. Divide by 2. So x equals negative 8. Okay? So I'm going to go back up here. Negative 8. Submit my answer. There we go. All right, let's do another one. Okay? And actually, I'm going to just do that right here. Okay? All right, so negative 4x minus 6 equals negative 3x minus 10. Okay? I'll kind of separate that out so you can see where I'm working. Okay. All right, so if I have my equal sign, that gives me my wall. All right, I have variables on both sides, and this negative 3x has got to go. Okay, because it's on the right-hand side, I want him on the left-hand side. So I'm going to add 3x because the opposite of minus 3 is to add 3. Okay, now notice I'm very particular about where I write it. I line it up with those like terms. I'm not going to write 3x underneath the 6, okay, because I can't add those. So I'm going to line it up over here because then now I can neatly add my columns. Okay, so negative 4 plus 3x, well, that's negative 1x. Bring down minus 6. Bring down that equal sign. That eliminates. Now, yeah, I am going to adjust my column and bring down negative 10 right there. Okay, rather than writing it all the way over here in that big old space. Okay, now I'm trying to get x by itself. So that means the minus 6 has got to go. So the opposite is to add 6. Okay, so negative 6 plus 6, that eliminates. So bring negative 1x down. Equals negative 10 plus 6, negative 4. Remember, if you're not comfortable with adding and subtracting positive and negative numbers, use that calculator to help you out, but try not to. Okay, I need to get x by itself. Now, some people think they can just stop right here. They're just like, well, it's just negative 1. No, it's got to be positive x. That's how you know you're done. So I'm going to divide by negative 1. So I get x equals, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So x equals 4. And remember, you don't have to type in x equals 4. You can just type in 4. Submit your answer, and you're good. Okay? All right. So you've got 3 solid examples. You've got one of them where I've worked it 2 different ways, and you saw on the screen that Delta Math solved it the 3rd way. So it'd be interesting to see if you figured out the 4th way. Okay? But if you got questions, let me know. I'm available for remind or email, and good luck, you guys.